Josslyn at the boathouse and the things she should not say. Let us start with the boathouse, because what is about to happen there is the specific kind of soap opera accident that is perfectly constructed, the right people in the wrong place, the wrong words spoken in an innocent context, and the person who should not hear them hearing them at exactly the moment the information is most dangerous. Hudson had been pressing Josslyn about the CEO position throughout their conversation. She has made her position clear with the specific firmness of someone who has said a thing multiple times and is genuinely tired of being asked to reconsider it. Her oath is to the WSB. That is her world. Running a multinational corporation is not what she signed up for, and it is not what she is going to do, regardless of how many angles Hudson tries to work. Michael came, took the necessary information about the CEO candidate list, and left. That should have been the end of the immediate pressure. But Hudson is not done. The conversation between him and Josslyn is still going when they are interrupted. And the interruption is the thing that changes everything. Brooklyn and Chase come down to the lake with Phoebe for some family time by the water. This is not a scheme or a plan. It is a family wanting an afternoon by the lake. The Quartermain property is their home. The boathouse and the water surrounding it are part of their daily world. They arrive to find Josslyn and Hudson in the middle of their ongoing argument, and the natural social response to finding people you know in a space you are planning to use is introductions. Josslyn knows Chase well. She knows Brooklyn. She has genuine affection for what they have built together. And when you are introducing someone you know to someone you are in the middle of an argument with, you do what people do. You say the names, you fill in the relevant context, you give Hudson enough information to understand who just walked up. This is Chase. Brooklyn, their newly adopted daughter. That sentence, or some version of it, is the thing that potentially changes everything. Because Hudson has been looking for a baby. He knows Delilah had a child. He knows Ethan was working to hide that child from the person Hudson answers to. He has been in Port Charles specifically because something pointed him here, to this town, in connection with a child whose whereabouts he was tasked with locating. And now Josslyn has just stood at the Quartermain boathouse and told him that Chase and Brooklyn recently adopted a daughter. The math that Hudson does in the moment immediately following that introduction is not complicated. The age of the baby, the timing of the adoption, the location, the fact that Ethan, who Hudson knows was protecting this child, had connections to the Quartermain world and was in Port Charles before he ran. The pieces that have been scattered across separate storylines click into place with the specific speed of someone whose entire agenda is organized around finding exactly this answer. Josslyn has no idea what she just handed him. She was making a polite introduction. She was being friendly to the people she loves in the presence of someone she is arguing with. The last thing she would have expected is that meeting Chase and Brooklyn with Phoebe would be the most consequential moment of Hudson's entire time in Port Charles. But once the introduction is made and the information is out, it cannot be taken back. Hudson has what he came for, or, at minimum, he has the thread that leads directly to it. Whether he moves immediately or waits and watches, the Phoebe situation has entered a new and much more dangerous phase. Brooklyn, who saw Hudson staring at the baby from a distance and had every maternal alarm go off, has no idea that the man she was already suspicious of now has the specific information that should have stayed hidden. Ethan spent considerable effort ensuring that Phoebe's origins stayed buried, that the adoption was closed, that the trail went cold. A casual introduction at the boathouse may have undone all of that in 30 seconds. The protection of Phoebe just became significantly more urgent. And the people responsible for that protection do not yet know how urgent it has become. Brooklyn discovers Willow's move, and the Quartermain house gets a lot louder. Now let's talk about Brooklyn and the information that sends her straight to Tracy looking for someone to blame and someone to fix it. The news that Willow has moved into the Quartermain gatehouse lands on Brooklyn with the specific impact of something that she was not prepared for, that she was not consulted about, and that directly affects the piece of the home she shares with Chase and Phoebe. This is not an abstract policy difference. This is Willow Kane, the woman about whom Brooklyn made a vow cold enough to freeze the air around it, living on the same property as Brooklyn's husband and Brooklyn's daughter. She goes straight to Tracy. Because Tracy is the one who is supposed to control who lives on the Quartermain property, and Tracy clearly signed off on this without consulting Brooklyn, and Brooklyn wants that decision reversed immediately. Tracy is not going to give her what she wants. Tracy has already done her own processing of Michael's request and made her own peace with the decision, however grudgingly, however much it required the invocation of Monica's memory to get her there. She is not going to undo that because Brooklyn is upset. Tracy's argument is not without merit. Wiley and Amelia are courtemains. The children's stability and access to family matters more than any adult's discomfort with the living arrangements and Michael's plan. Supervised proximity, rather than a nuclear legal option that could damage the children, reflects exactly the kind of thinking that the Quartermain family should be endorsing. Brooklyn does not want to hear this. She has spent the entire summer in a state of elevated alert about Willow in relation to Chase, and that alertness was there before Willow was living on the same property. Now Willow is 40 yards away in the gatehouse, and the thing Brooklyn was vowing to prevent has been given a residential base by her own family. And then Brooklyn gets another piece of information that sends the temperature up even further. Willow runs into Chase, who is shirtless. And Willow, who's a person with a very specific history with Chase, and who the show has been very clear views this living situation as an opportunity rather than simply a constraint, does not say anything that would give Brooklyn direct cause for confrontation. She is careful. She is deliberate. She is already calculating. But Chase looks taken aback. And whatever expression crosses his face in that moment, the surprise, the slight discomfort, the specific quality of an encounter that you did not plan for and do not know quite how to manage, is exactly the kind of thing that Brooklyn's radar picks up from a distance and files immediately. The tension between Brooklyn and Willow, which was already running at a very high temperature before Willow moved in, has just been given a daily domestic context in which it is going to have to be managed continuously. That is not a manageable situation for Brooklyn. That is a situation that is going to produce confrontations because Brooklyn does not do sustained management when she is this threatened. She does explosions. Meanwhile, Serena is doing her own pushing back on a different front. Whether she is challenging the arrangement Lucy has constructed around Michael or drawing a line with Tracy about what she is and is not willing to participate in, Serena has apparently decided that playing along quietly is no longer her mode. She came to Port Charles with a stated purpose, and she is watching the edges of that purpose get complicated by the competing agendas of everyone around her. Lucy, who has been trying to manage the deception situation with Serena as her primary asset, is now dealing with her asset having developed opinions of her own. That is always what happens when you recruit intelligent people for your schemes. Eventually, they start thinking for themselves rather than simply executing the plan as designed. Lucas and Joe, and the quiet moment that stands out. And finally, let us talk about something that is genuinely rare in a week this packed with schemes and confrontations and high-stakes situations. A moment of simple, warm, potentially romantic human connection between two people who could both use exactly that. Lucas has had a rough stretch. That is understating it considerably. The hospital, the professional complications, the weight of everything that the summer has brought. He has been carrying more than any one person should have to manage. The specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being a good person in a place that keeps testing that goodness is something that requires some form of relief. Not a dramatic resolution, just something that is not hard. Joe has been a presence that the show has been building quietly in the background of several stories without fully centering him yet. He has professional connections through the hospital world. He is someone who has been finding his place in Port Charles with a specific kind of warmth and steadiness that has made him appealing as a character even before the show gives him the story that really puts him in the foreground. The bonding moment between Lucas and Joe this Monday stands out against everything else happening precisely because it is not adversarial. It is not a scheme. Nobody is trying to get something from the other person. Nobody is protecting an agenda or managing a threat. It is just two people who happen to be in the same space, finding themselves genuinely connecting in the specific way that sometimes happens when you least expect it.